Hello and welcome back to the channel, and we're here with the first part of my new series, and this series is going to be breaking down everything that needs to be in the upcoming HBO Max Harry Potter TV series. It's going to include things that were missed out from the original movies that were included in the books, and also add in some additional things to add more information to the lore, and then also potentially add in things slightly sooner so that they stop being used as plot devices and were items that were already in the Wizarding World before they come into play later on in the series. If you're interested in anything at Wizarding World, then you are in the right place, because on this channel we do cover everything at Wizarding World, whether that be the wider Wizarding World or also things like the movies, TV shows, books, and also the games. If that sounds like something you're interested in, then hit that subscribe button and don't forget to leave me a comment on this video, because I do reply to everyone. Now in this series I'm going to be doing one video per season, so that's one video per book in my eyes. Obviously I know this series is set to go for 10 years, there could be additional things that will be added to it, but I'm just going to break it down into each individual book and say the things that I think need to be included per book. Now, some elements of this are going to be my personal feelings, so take it with a pinch of salt, but also I will be covering a lot of things that were missed from the books when they transitioned into movies. But without any further delay, let's get into this video. So for me, when the book starts, I think it starts in a really interesting place, because it starts from the perspective of Vernon. However, with this TV series, I want it to go back further. I want it to be from the moment after Lily and James have been killed and Voldemort has lost his powers. I want us to see Hagrid running down the street at Halloween with people looking at him, not knowing exactly what's going on. There'll be people trick-or-treating, Hagrid will be very emotional, and he will eventually turn a corner and you will see the ruins of the Potter house. You will see him break down into tears and collapse to the floor, showing exactly how much this family means to Hagrid from the very start. You can then have Hagrid going to explore the building looking for any survivors. Obviously, at this moment in time, he's going to be scared. He's going to be worried that Voldemort could potentially still be within the address. During this, we could potentially have a jump scare with a rat running away, jumping out at him, and then leaving the premises. Obviously, this could be a massive nod to Wormtail later on in the story, but it would not necessarily be a massive nod to people who have not seen the story or do not know the story from the beginning. It is just a very subtle nod to what we know going forward. Hagrid will find Harry in the rubble. He will see the cloak of Voldemort completely shredded, left in the room. He'll make a look at it, but it won't necessarily make too much reference to it. He will then scoop Harry up and start to leave. As he leaves the building, he will bump into a young Sirius Black. At this moment, Sirius is obviously distraught. He's not acting his normal self. He's very angry. He's very aggressive. He plays off as though he could be potentially evil. He can have an argument with Hagrid that he wants to take Harry with him and he believes he should be the person to do it. But Hagrid will stand his ground and say that he is on a mission for Dumbledore and that Dumbledore knows best. Sirius will eventually back down. As Hagrid goes to leave, Sirius will ask him, "How are you getting there?" And Sirius will give him his bike. Hagrid will then take off on the bike and fly into the sky. From this moment, we could then cut to Vernon Dursley, who is then experiencing the day that he has in the first chapter of the Philosopher's Stone. He will then be going to work. There'll be all sorts of things going on around him with wizards in the streets. There will be the comets in the sky, owls flying all over the place, and he will hear the mention of Harry Potter. He can then return home and mention it to his wife and start to worry, but he will not think too much of it because he does not expect anything to impact his life. We then cut to the exactly perfect scene that we got at the beginning of The Philosopher's Stone, with Dumbledore leaving Harry on the doorstep for the Dursleys to find in the morning. So as you can see, my narrative is slightly different to what we get in the books, but I think when you're transferring this story to a TV series, it gives you the opportunity to expand on what we see in the books. Don't change anything, keep it to the lore that we know, but expand so we can see a bit more, give the viewer a bit more information, and again, create additional narratives so it makes it a real worthwhile watch for people who do know the full story when they are reading the books. The time where Harry was at the Dursleys was done pretty well when he goes to the zoo. The only additional items I think they should do is mention Aunt Marge and Mrs. Fig earlier, because potentially that would just be a nice nod to things we see later on in the series. I would also like to see when they are trying to escape all of the letters that it includes at the hotel that they go to, and the madness of Mr. Dursley as he's trying to escape them, where he's driving to remote locations, thinking that it's not enough to get away from them and then driving in a completely different direction, and he's trying to shake them off. I think just adding these additional items will add a bit of humour to the story, but also just add these additional items that were brilliant within the book when you first read it, and just were excluded because of the constraints of making it into one short movie. Obviously, the scene where Hagrid tells him he's a wizard was done very, very well, and I really like it, and there's not much I would change with that. Hagrid then takes Harry, obviously, to Diagon Alley. I think Gringotts was done very, very well. The only thing in Diagon Alley I would really change was include Harry meeting Malfoy while he's in Madame Malkin's and having his robes fitted, and Harry not knowing anything about what Malfoy is talking about. And obviously the viewers won't really know anything about what Malfoy is talking about, but Harry having an instant dislike for him. After that, Harry needs to then return to the Dursleys, even if it is only for one scene, with him asking them to take them to King's Cross, and them taking them there and then laughing at him when they leave him there, and he has to go to platform 9 3/4, and obviously he doesn't know how to get there. Again, the Hogwarts Express scene was very, very good. There's not a lot I would change about this. However, the meeting that we get just before the Great Hall happens in the books in the train, and I think it's a very good way of doing it. We also get to see the one moment of good that Wormtail does where he bites Goyle on the finger. Just keeping it exactly to the script of the book would just be very good in these situations. The time at school was covered very well. There was a few things that have been missed out, and I've kind of bullet pointed these, but I will go into them slightly as we go through them. The first main issue for me that was missing that needs to be added into this series is a character that they dropped completely, and it is one of the best characters in the whole series. And of course, I'm talking about Peeves. Peeves needs to be included in every one of these films. He is such a great character and causes so much chaos and carnage, and I cannot believe that he was left out. He's so good, and we just need to see that portrayal on screen. When Harry first gets to school, the Sorting Hat sings a song, and there's also the school song, which is sung by all of the students. I would like to see these things in there. Again, we have the time to do it now, so just add these things that make the school feel quirky and magical. During the time at school, we obviously get to see a couple of lessons in the original movie. I think we can expand on this, show a few more lessons, Harry learning a few more spells, even if they don't really come into play too much. I think there was a fact that Harry didn't actually cast any magic in the first film, which is mind-boggling, so show Harry doing some magic and learning some spells. Just to make him a wizard in these films. Talking about Harry's character and how he portrays in the movies, make sure that Ron is portrayed exactly as he is in the books. Ron in the movies was a bit of a coward and a bit of a bad friend, whereas Ron in the books is so loyal, so brave, and just incredible, and I really want to see that side of him. Another thing that's similar to lessons that was missed out is some of the Quidditch matches. Show the second Quidditch match where Snape referees to try to protect Harry. You could also potentially include the one where Harry was knocked out, because we will have time to show this, and everyone loved Quidditch, so even if you show it, just show Gryffindor getting absolutely destroyed. It's just a way of showing exactly what's been going on while Harry's been knocked out. Another thing that's just in the book, which would be nice to include if they can, is the potential nighttime duel where Malfoy challenges Harry to a wizard's duel at midnight in the trophy room. Now, one of the main points that was cut from the original movie was included in the Norbert the Dragon storyline, and that is the fact that Charlie Weasley actually really helped them out involved in this, and sent some of his friends over to go and collect Norbert. Norbert was there for a lot longer period. He got bigger, ended up biting wrong. There's a lot of things they can do around that just to show the carnage that dragons can do before we introduce them later on into the story. Then obviously have a moment where Harry and Hermione have to take him up to the top of the tower to be taken away, and this is the reason why they get detention and end up in the Forbidden Forest. They also get lots of points taken off them from Gryffindor, and at that moment in time, Harry, Hermione, Ron and Neville are actually completely hated in their time at school, and they didn't portray that very well. I'd like to see the anguish, the moments of time where he was not liked at school and everyone hated him, even though he was famous, and just show how that affects him as well. I think that'd be a really nice thing to portray in this new series. And talking about the tension, one of the things I was devastated about is the fact they didn't include the tensions between the centaurs. They didn't include the other centaurs with Bane and Ronan. They should introduce these earlier so we can understand there's actually a lot of other tensions going on in the Wizarding world, rather than just the main Wizarding war that we see portrayed through the main part of the story. Now, in the film, Harry goes to the Mirror of Erised, and it is actually portrayed in the books. He keeps going back night after night, and that is the reason why Dumbledore has to step in to stop Harry becoming obsessed with it. When Harry's looking at the Mirror of Erised as well, he sees his whole family, not just his mum and dad. So it'd be nice just to have a few nods to other members of his family that we can see just behind them. They don't have to have any lines or do anything. We can just see them behind. This way we can show exactly as it was portrayed in the books. Finally, we get to the trials for the Philosopher's Stone. Now, I want them to include Harry's flute into this. The harp was a nice way of getting around it, but just keep it to the book. Harry played a flute, which was able to stop Fluffy. He then gave it over to Hermione, who continued to play while he was the first one to jump down. Now, when they jumped into the Devil's Snare, Hermione was famous for using these blue flames, and that's what she used to stop them, so I don't see any reason why we need to change that storyline. The only thing in that scene which was really interesting was the fact that Hermione really panicked and completely forgot that she could use magic, and it was only thanks to Harry's bravery that they remembered that. So again, just increasing the level of bravery and intelligence on Harry and Ron's part, and not making Hermione the only one who can do successful magic. The chess was really good, portrayed really well. However, Ron was for some reason knocked out when he wasn't even touched by the Queen, so I think he should actually get conked on the head, just for the sake of the fact it would look better rather than him just exploding off of a horse and not really much happening to him and him being completely knocked out. Obviously, there was a couple of trials that were lost after this point. We had the troll, which was knocked out. Just include that because it makes it the 7, which is obviously the magical number. There's 7 trials, and 7 is the most powerful magical number, so just keep it to that. Add the troll in. And the final challenge before the Mirror of Erised is probably the best challenge, and for me, the most interesting one, because it was set up by Snape. He obviously did all the potions because he is the potions master, but he also showed his intellect and his other side of him that shows how intelligent and in depth his way of thinking is, and I really want to see that included into the TV series. It also shows a different level of intelligence that Hermione has. Now, for those of you who don't know, when they head into the last chamber, there are several potions on a table, and only 2 of them are able to get them forwards or backwards from the room that they enter. There's also some bottles which contain poison and others that just contain poppy wine. And they have to logic it out with a riddle to figure out which bottle it is that they have to take forwards and which bottle it is they have to take to go backwards. And there's only enough for one of them to go forward, which is why Harry ends up going on his own. The extract from the book reads, "Danger lies before you while safety lies behind. 2 of us will help you whichever you would find. 1 among our 7 will let you move ahead. Another will transport the drinker back instead. 2 among our number hold only nettle wine. 3 of us are killers, waiting hidden in line. Choose unless you wish to stay here forevermore. To help you in your choice, we give you these clues 4. First, however slyly the poison tries to hide, you will always find some on nettle wine's left side. Second, different are those who stand at either end, but if you would move forward, neither is your friend. Third, as you see clearly, all are different size. Neither dwarf nor giant holds death in their insides. Fourth, the second left and the second on the right are twins once you taste them, though different at first sight." Now, having this logical puzzle in there will stump so many wizards, and I think it's just a great challenge. And again, as I said previously, it adds up to the magical number 7, so it's really important to have it in there to show the importance of the number 7 within the Harry Potter series. Finally, one of my last points that I want to mention is when they're in the chamber with the Mirror of Erised, I'd like them to portray Voldemort exactly as it says in the books, and that is going forward as well. I think he needs to be portrayed exactly as they said, because it makes him look more scary. When you read it as a child, the picture that you portrayed in your head from the description was terrifying. In the book, the first brief introduction to Voldemort goes as this: "Harry would have screamed, but he couldn't make a sound. Where there should have been at the back of Quirrell's head, there was a face. The most terrible face Harry had ever seen. It was chalk white with glaring red eyes and slits for nostrils like a snake." They portrayed Voldemort very well, but the red eyes for me was one of the things that made him even more terrifying and less human, so it's something I really want them to include in this scene going forward. The rest of the movie played out pretty well and did everything that the book included, so there's not really a lot more that I'd like to say about the rest of this series. So there you have it, that is my ideas for what needs to be included in the Philosopher's Stone TV adaptation of the book. There are a few things, like I said, that I've added individually that are my personal ideas and what I would like to see, which weren't necessarily in the books but do add to the lore. Let me know what you think of my additions in the books. Let me know if I've missed anything or if there's something you would like to see in these TV series going forward, and potentially at the end of the series I will be able to include your suggestions that I've missed. I'll leave a comment below. Please please reply to it and let me know. As I said, I do reply to everyone. As always, thank you to the members of the channel. Your support is appreciated so much. I know I say it every episode, but the changes to your membership are going to be a lot better and are coming very, very soon. But that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. And until then, mischief managed.